So I've got quite a lot of people asking me about summer when I'm away, mainly my lessons where I teach, not online. So I thought I would do a mobility sequence to really help people stay mobile over summer. And they can choose to do you can choose to do the whole lesson, or you can choose just to do like little pieces of it. So we're going to work on mobility to start with, see how long that takes. Might be 10-minute chunks, and then a bit of a lesson at the end. So we're going to start, as I'm sitting, we'll start sitting with this one. So taking the feet out and then taking the knees from side to side. And if you do this in the morning, I often feel really stiff and I like to do things a little bit more slowly with my breath. By the evening, I've loosened up and I quite like to do it quite fast. So it's about repetition of the joint. So you can do it as fast as you want, really. A million flies buzzing around my head. The damp grass. That's it. So just keep going. You want about sort of 20 on each side. And you'll find yourself shuffling forward as well. Good. So that puts the leg into an external rotation. So now we'll take the left leg back. And if your leg doesn't go in that position, then sit up on a couple of blocks. And then take your arm out to the side and lean forward and back. I'm not quite sure what the arm does, but this gives you somewhere to put it. So the same arm that's behind, the same arm that the legs that's behind you, and you can move forward and back. And really exercising that hip. Try and sit back down into that hip as you go back. Good. And then we're going to keep your hand on the floor. You can take the other hand as well. And we're going to straighten that leg out to the side. So if you lean right over to the side, it's quite easy. If you want to make that a little bit harder, stay sitting up a bit, straighten the leg out to the side. So the more you can sit up, you can really feel that this is more strength as well as mobility. Really feel the strength in that leg. Good. And then we're going to take the body round to have the hands up and just twisting from side to side with this leg bent backwards. So every time I twist, I can really feel it down in the hip there. Good. And then take that leg you've got bent back, take it in front of you. Have the other foot by the side. Have the hands by the sole just behind you. And then lift that leg up in front. So we're lifting the leg up and down. And again, if you lean right back, that's obviously going to be quite easy. If you sit up tall, really works the thigh muscle. So you can really give yourself a little challenge. To make that easier, you could put the foot underneath the leg and just try to straighten the leg up if it's too difficult. Otherwise, lift the leg up and down, strengthen your thigh. You can do that about 10 times. Good. And then that leg that's been bent back, have it in front of you and bend the other leg back. Good. So first of all, using your arm coming forward and then back. With this leg bent back, trying to sit down into that right hand hip as you move back and as you move forward. So they reckon 10 minutes a day is good for you to keep your mobility. So There is some strength work in here, but we're not statically holding like we would in traditional yoga. But great 10 minutes a day to keep your mobility and joint strength. It's about 15 forward and back. And come forward a little bit more each time. If it hurts your knee, just leave that leg out in front of you. Good. And then place the hand on the floor, probably support with both hands, and then kicking that leg out to the side and back behind you, trying not to lean too much to the side. So you do some strength work in this groin, hip flexor. The easier option would just be to slide the leg on the floor. Otherwise, lift and straighten. Feel those muscles we're using there in the hip. Good. Leave that leg behind you and we'll do twist from side to side. You can really swing your arms around, encouraging the twist. Sometimes it's quite nice to take the head in the opposite direction, stretching the neck. Good. And then the leg comes out in front and we do the leg lifts. So try not to have it on top of the foot. Take the foot to the side unless you want the support. And then take the leg up and down. And notice the difference on the sides. Is one side weaker than the other. So really strengthening the hip flexor there and the thigh. That's it. Good. And release. And then just sit with your legs cross-legged. Hit the body around in a circle, almost massaging your hip flexors. It's quite nice doing yoga on the grass, normally on a really hard stone floor. I feel like I've got a cushion under me. Good for the knees. And go the other way. Good. So we've strengthened the hip flexor. Now we're going to stretch the hip flexor out. So let's come into a lunge, taking the left foot forward. And you can put that back knee on a block if you're not on a nice padded grass bed. And we're going to go forward and back. So some of you won't be able to keep your hands on the floor for this. So you can have your hand on 2 blocks. So as you go back, try and lift the toes up, stretch the hamstring. Come forward, stretch the groin, hip flexor. You might also notice if you're twisting the hips as you come forward. Sometimes we twist away, so we're not feeling the stretch so much. So about 15 forward and back repetitions. Good. And change side. Forward and back. Remember to lift your toes, get that front leg straight if you can. If you can't, use blocks under your hands so you can try and get that front leg into a hamstring stretch behind the knee as well. See if you can work out if you're twisting your hips Good. And then hands and knees. Cat pose. So feel the stiffness in your spine as you round, arch, and bend the back. And you can do all sorts of your own variations in cat pose. To stretch out your spine, you can do some twisty ones. You can isolate different parts of your spine to work the different parts of your back. Good. And then work forward and back. So we're going working the knees forward and back. And you can drop into a back bend. So have your hands a bit further forward. You can drop into a supported upward dog. You're also working the knees. We're then going to take the knees as wide as your mat. So if you've got a very narrow mat, take the wider, but my mat is really quite wide. You take the knees the width of the mat or wider. You might just put some padding under both knees. And then take your heels out and have a look. Line your heels up with your knees. And then same thing, forward and back. Notice how now that involves the hip joints. A lot stiffer to drop forward and back. So don't hurt your knees in that one. If they're a bit sore on the hard floor, bring your knees back together. And then we're going to drop onto our tummy, elbows into Sphinx. And just settle the back here for a moment. Breathe. And then we're going to bring the arm out to the side and up, set and down, and then the other side. Inhaling up, exhaling down, or you can do it a bit faster than your breath. If you're feeling stiff, do it nice and slowly with your breath. With about 15 on each side. Let's keep going. Really good for the shoulders and the back. Actually lost count, probably about 12, so maybe another couple. You might have done more than me. So rest when you need to. Do my arms, have a little rest. And then an up and down cobra. So hands under the shoulders, or for an easier option, hands further out and further forward. We're going to push up into cobra. up and down, keeping the elbows bent. So elbows stay in, shoulders pull back as we inhale up and we exhale down. If you've got one-sided back pain, move your hips away from the pain. So right-sided pain, move the hips to the left. And vice versa. So we'll do about 12 of these. And have a rest. So we don't do the other side. So with one-sided back pain, we only move the hips away from the pain and we don't do the other side. Pain on both sides, just keep the hips central. So rest your head down for a moment. So that's 20 minutes. So if you wanted to just do a 20-minute mobility routine, that's got quite a lot of stuff in, but we will continue in case you want to make your mobility routine longer. So we're going to bring your one knee forward into pigeon pose. It doesn't matter which. So one knee comes forward and one leg goes back. If you've got knee problems, if you turn onto your back and do thread the needle. Otherwise, we're going to go from here and we're going to roll onto your bum and then turn your other leg so you're doing pigeon at the other end of your mat. So roll back onto your bum, move your leg so you're now straightening the back leg out into pigeon. Good. And once you've got it, go from end to end. That's it. Keep your body up quite high so you're getting the back bend, the psoas muscle stretch. If you've got tight piriformis and you'd rather just do a static sleeping swan, just bring yourself down onto your leg and rest. Otherwise, keep going. 10 to 15 on each end. Few more. Good. And then stay at one end. We're going to do another groin strengthening pose. So similar to what we did earlier, but not the same. We're going to bring that leg through and back. So easy option is to bend the knee and bring the leg through and then finally sit and back. Harder option is to swing the leg through straight, forward and back without leaning too much with the body. So keep the body as upright as you can. So, and then we'll do the same on the other leg. So swap ends. And either bring that knee through, straightening out in front of you, or straighten the leg forward and back. Coming back to pigeon pose, again to stretch the back. Good. Back to hands and knees. And then we're going to tuck the toes under and come up into a dog pose. But what we're going to do, rather than static, we're going to push one heel to the floor and then the other. So go from one foot to the other, pedaling your feet, stretching out the calves. And do that as long as your body can take it. Your arms, and then have a rest. I hadn't put a thermal on now, quite warm. And then we'll finish off with a bit of wrist mobility. So either take your fingers out to the sides, or if you can, take your fingers all the way round to your knees. Either hold it statically or just a gentle rock forward and back. Put a bit of stretch through the wrist, keeping the palms pushed down. And if you really want to put some weight through that stretch, push the palms down and step back into a plank. You might step immediately out and then step the other leg up, or you might just do one leg. And release. Pull your hands. Quite a tough one until your wrist can get used to that. And then taking the hand on the back. So my palm is face up, pushing the back of my hand, back of my wrist into the floor, and then trying to straighten the arm and turn the inner elbow forward. So that's the easier option. Harder is to do it with two arms. So trying to straighten both arms, turn the elbows forward. So the inner elbows rotate forward. If you want to try a harder option, take the hands further forward so you're in a cat pose on hands and knees. So that's putting weight through the hands then, much harder to straighten. I'll take mine slightly back. And the advanced option is to do that in a plank. So just do what you can. If you can hold them straight with the elbow forward, hold them there. Put a little bit of weight through them. And then slowly come off. It's probably agony. It's a really tough one, but it does get easier. I'm able to hold that longer and longer each week. Okay, so for the next one, we're going to continue with mobility. You'll have to watch this one. So we're going to put the foot on the knee as if we're doing thread the needle. So thread the needle is where we hold the leg. Take the foot on the knee and we're going to lean over to the bent knee. So the bent knee goes to the floor and then the body comes over. There wasn't a cat in the way. And then we come onto our hands. And that's it. And we hold it there statically. So really good for lower back pain. I'll just talk you through. So lay on your back to the right-hand side of your mat if you don't want to go on the floor. Put your left foot in front of the right knee. And then we're going to take that knee to the floor. Keep going and roll onto your tummy. So the legs lift off the floor. As you roll to your tummy and you keep your hands either side of your shoulders. So we haven't rolled all the way over. We're still sort of on that left leg. So roll back. I'll just show you again if you weren't sure. So the hands come up. It's very difficult with you there, Missy. Hands come up. We roll onto the knee and over. So my back is in a twist. So we'll try that on the other side. So come to the left-hand side of your mat. Take your right foot on the knee. Bring your hands up ready. Right knee goes to the floor. Roll over as best you can onto your chest. Take your hands either side of your chest and hold. And roll back. So a little tricky maneuver, but great for lower back pain. It's a little bit easier to teach in a class environment. And now we're going to do bridge pose. So we all know this one. Feet hip width apart. If you want to, you could put a block, short end of your block between the knees. And then arms by the side. Lengthen the back of the neck. And we're going to roll up. And peel the spine down. So an up and down bridge pose. Increasing each time you lift, increasing the height. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. So we're using our glutes to lift. So we're strengthening those core muscles, those structural muscles, glutes, thighs. Good, couple more. And then hold the bridge. So come up and hold statically. Relax the neck and the throat. Push the knees into the block. See if you can lift a bit higher. And lower yourself down. Bring your knees to your chest and gently rock. Good. So that's the half an hour mark. If you just want to do half an hour, we're going to do just a little bit of shoulder flexibility now. So we're going to start with our arms by the side of us, as if we're going into bridge pose. Feet hip width apart, knees bent, arms by the side. We're going to lift the arms up, but keeping the arms straight and trying to bring them to the side of the ears. So you can see mine don't quite reach the floor, but I'm going to come up and down, trying to stretch them closer to the floor each time. So pushing the lower back into the floor. We're not arching the back. So it'd be easy to arch my back and get my arms down. We're trying to push the lower back into the floor and stretch the arms backwards a little bit further each time. You could try sliding your shoulders blades down your spine a little bit, which might help. Keep the arms narrow so they're coming in by the side of the ears. You might have a pile of cushions there. We're really trying to increase that shoulder mobility. And now turn your palms to face each other. So as they go back, you're leading with your thumb. Trying to get the arms onto the ears. Good, last one. Next, we're going to take the elbows in line with the shoulders. So our elbows are at a V, an L shape. And we're going to work the hands to the floor and the back of the hands to the floor on the other side. So like windscreen wipers. And the higher you have your elbows, the more you're working your flexibility. So forward and back in this L shape. Again, don't let the back arch off, so push the back into the floor. And then the final one is a W shape. So start with your arms in a W. So you have your palms back and your elbows closer to your side. And we work the arms up. And we work the elbows down to the side of the body, keeping the hands on the floor. So the arms go up and down. Sliding the elbows and the back of the hands along the floor, not allowing the back to arch. Good. And then come onto one side and sit up, taking a block if you need to sit. And the joints we haven't worked, we've pretty much done all over the body. We haven't done the neck, we haven't done the feet, toes, and the fingers. So just exercise your fingers by stretching your fingers and your thumb in towards your palms. Or any exercise you know for your joints. And if you've got arthritis, get those really stiff joints coming in as far as you can. Don't ignore the stiff ones. Work the painful ones a little bit more if you can. And the neck. So shoulders still while we take the head from side to side. How far can you look round without moving your shoulders? So take your eyes round as far as you can, as well as your head. And if you want to use your hands, just to encourage the head around. Good. And then ear to shoulder, side to side. Shoulder still, but you can use your hand to increase the stretch. Good. And then forward and back, but be aware going back, you might want to use your hands. Control the backwards movement. Forward and back. Working your neck in both directions. And use your eyes, look up and back. Good. And you might want to finish off with some half circles. And then bring your head back to center and slowly come up to sitting. Standing. Now, I'm hoping you can see my head. So the last thing to work on is the feet. So you can tuck your toes under, stretch the front of your foot, and then turn your toes under to stretch the ball. So go from one side of the foot to the other. And we can stretch our feet sitting down, moving your toes, or we can stretch it standing, putting a bit of weight. Good. And rotate your ankle. And the other way. And change foot. So stretching the front of the foot, front of the toes by curling the toes under. Curl them the other way, stretch the ball of the foot and go between the two. And then rotate your ankle. And that's pretty much every joint of the body. We've done knees, hips, spine, shoulders, wrists, fingers, neck, everything, feet, toes. So really that is a fantastic 40-minute warm-up before we start a really good static yoga class. So you could use this in the morning, and in the evening you could do a really good static standing class, which we've got on record. So we'll do just a couple of poses before we finish. So let's do a static balance. So we're going to take a tree pose. The heel goes below your knee joint or above. Find your spot. Use your core and lift up your arms into any position. Notice how more flexible your shoulders feel. Grow tall and strong. Just like an oak tree. I'm not timing, but I like to hold for at least a minute to build up that strength in that leg. When you push into the foot, lift the hip out of the socket. And there's always the option to have your fingertips against the wall for balance and use it just as strength building. Good. And release. Other side. Heel above or below the knee joints, not on the knee joints. Find your spot. Pour in and stretch up. It's lovely to feel my shoulders are looser just from that couple of minutes exercise. So it could be that you just take a couple of exercises that we've done today and repeat them every day. You don't have to do 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, 40 minutes. take just a couple of the exercises you thought were really, really stiff and work on those. And then next week, choose a couple of different ones. So just build it into your daily routine of cleaning teeth, getting up, getting dressed, a couple of mobility exercises. If you don't have time, if you have time, go in the garden on a nice day, stick on this lesson for a good 45 minutes. And there we have our mobility sorted for the day. Good. And then we're going to come into warrior pose. We're going to stand at the end of the mat. Step back with your left foot. Bend your front knee. And really push back through that back heel, straighten the back leg. And lift the arms up. Lift the chest. You can either look forward or you can look up. And strain your neck. Good. Change legs. Straighten the back leg. Push the heel down. Lift up. And release. So the static stretches are really important for our strength and strength of body, strength of mind, but we do need to have that mobility. So those mobility exercises are really good to keep us flexible. So we're going to come into an inversion of your choice. So you can either put a couple of blocks under your hips or roll up into a shoulder stand or headstand. And then bring yourself out of the position you're in Our final mobility twist of the spine will take the knees from side to side. So we'll drop the knees to one side and then to the other. We'll go from side to side with the knees. It uses your core muscles to move and includes that spinal twist. And then roll to one side and come up to sitting. Good. So hopefully you might find your seated position more comfortable on your hips and knees. We haven't done a lot of strength work today, mainly in the groin and the psoas muscle. So we do need to do that strength work with our standing poses and our static poses. But see how you feel mobility-wise, getting up and off the mat, getting in and out of bed when you practice these type of movements. And that's what's going to make you feel younger as we get older. We can move really effectively. So straighten the back. I'm going to move my paperwork because it's the grass is getting wet. Straighten the back. And we'll close the eyes. Take your awareness to the back of the throat. And you feel the breath in this place. And you can stroke the back of the throat so you can feel it and hear the Ujjayi breath. You hear the breath on the way in and on the way out. Now can you visualize that noise being the sound of the sea, the sound of the waves? As you breathe in, visualize the wave traveling up the beach towards you. And you're lying on the sand and it completely encompasses your body with this warm water. As you breathe out, the sea retreats back down the beach, back out to the horizon. Keep this visualization going for a moment with your Ujjayi breathing. If you find it difficult to keep your mind on the visualization, now try counting in for 4, out for 8. Return the breath to its normal pace. Notice the calmness of mind and the peace and tranquility of mind and body. And then lay down on your mats for a relaxation, making sure that you're warm and comfortable. Use blankets and pillows where needed. Get your awareness to your jaw. Soften your jaw. Soften your tongue and cheeks. Let your eyeballs sink back into your skull. Soften the skin around your eyes and your forehead. Relax your ears. Relax your neck and your collarbones. And around your shoulders. Relax down your arms to each fingertip. Relax across your chest, the ribs, sternum, and the diaphragm and tummy. Relax your spine. Relax your hips, your groin, your glutes. Relax your thighs, your knees, lower legs, ankles, feet, and toes. And feel the weight of your whole body. Surrender your weight to the floor. Just feel yourself sinking into your mat, the earth. As the body becomes more and more relaxed. Become aware of your body now. Sounds around, inside and outside your room. The sound of your own body. Take a deeper breath. Start to stretch your body. Move those joints we've been moving. Hopefully they'll feel nice and free and loose, flexible and supple. Move your joints, give yourself a stretch. And bring yourself to a seated pose. Keeping the eyes closed, give your hands a rub. Look into the warm palms. And let the light in. Thank you very much.